The worst part was not that my wife cheated on me. It was not the lies. It was not the hotel receipts, the deleted messages, or the fact that she looked me in the eyes every morning and still kissed me like nothing had happened. The worst part was that when I finally told my parents the truth, they chose her. My name is Ethan Miller. I was 38 years old when my marriage ended, but if you ask me when my life really changed, I would tell you it happened on a Sunday afternoon in my parents' living room. My wife, Madison, sat on the couch between my mother and father, crying into a tissue. My mother had one arm around her shoulders. My father stood in front of me like I was a stranger who had broken into his house. And Madison looked at me with red eyes and a trembling voice. "Ethan has been accusing me of horrible things," she whispered. "I don't feel safe with him anymore." I stared at her. I could not believe how calm she looked underneath the tears. My mother turned to me with disappointment written all over her face. "Ethan," she said, "this is not the man we raised." That sentence hit harder than anything Madison had done. Because I had evidence. Not feelings. Not jealousy. Not suspicion. Evidence. But at that moment nobody wanted to hear it. My father shook his head and said, "Until you can calm down and stop attacking your wife, I think Madison should stay here with us." I laughed once. Not because it was funny. Because something inside me cracked. "You're taking her side?" I asked. My mother looked away. My father said, "We're taking the side of peace." No. They were taking the side of the better liar. Madison moved into my childhood bedroom that night. The same room where I had posters on the wall as a kid. The same room where my dad taught me how to tie a tie before my first school dance. The same room where my mother used to sit on the edge of my bed when I was sick. Now my cheating wife was sleeping there. And my parents were protecting her from me. The first sign came 3 months before that. Madison changed her phone password. That alone would not have bothered me. People are allowed privacy. But she did not just change it. She started sleeping with the phone under her pillow. She stopped leaving it on the kitchen counter. She started taking calls in the garage. Then came the late meetings. Madison worked in marketing for a real estate company. She had always been busy, but suddenly every Thursday night became urgent. Client dinners. Strategy sessions. Last-minute presentations. At first I believed her. I wanted to believe her. That is the cruel thing about betrayal. Most of the time, the victim helps build the lie because the truth is too painful to touch. One Thursday night, she told me she would be home by 10. At 10:45 I called. No answer. At 11:20 she texted me. "Still at work. Don't wait up." But 15 minutes later my neighbor, Greg, sent me a message. "Hey man. Is Madison supposed to be at the house? Saw her car leaving with some guy about an hour ago. Thought you should know." I read that text 5 times. Then I walked outside. Her car was not in the driveway. When she came home after 1 in the morning, she smelled like expensive cologne that was not mine. I asked where she had been. She smiled, tired and annoyed. "Work, Ethan. I already told you. Greg saw you leave with a man." That was the first time I saw the mask slip. Only for half a second. Then she rolled her eyes. "Are you seriously spying on me now?" I should have pressed harder. Instead, I apologized. That is what betrayal does when it begins slowly. It makes you question your own eyes. 2 weeks later, I found the hotel receipt. It was in the trash under a pile of coffee grounds and paper towels. The hotel was 40 minutes away. 1 room. 2 guests. Checked in on a Thursday. I stood in the kitchen holding that receipt while Madison showered upstairs. My hands were shaking, but my mind was suddenly clear. I did not confront her that night. Something told me not to. Instead, I took a picture of the receipt and put it back exactly where I found it. Then I started paying attention. Not like a jealous husband. Like a man gathering facts before walking into a storm. I checked our bank statements. There were restaurant charges I had never seen. Gas stations outside town. Small purchases from places Madison never mentioned. Then I checked our home security camera. That was when I saw him. A black SUV had pulled into our driveway one afternoon while I was at work. Madison got into the passenger seat. The man driving leaned over and kissed her before they drove away. The camera did not show his face clearly, but it showed enough. That night, I sat in my truck outside the house for almost an hour before going inside. I wanted to scream. I wanted to kick the door open and demand answers. But my father's voice came back to me. "Never fight angry, Ethan. Angry people make mistakes. Patient people win. So I waited. Madison noticed the change in me before I said a word. She started acting sweeter, cooking dinner, touching my shoulder when she passed me, telling me she loved me. That was the second betrayal. Not the cheating itself, the performance after it. One evening I finally asked her directly, "Are you having an affair?" She froze near the sink. Then she laughed. Not a nervous laugh, a cruel one. "Wow," she said. "So that's what this is? Answer the question." She turned around, crossed her arms and said, "You need help." That sentence became her weapon. Anytime I questioned her, I needed help. Anytime I showed concern, I was controlling. Anytime I asked for the truth, I was unstable. A few days later, my mother called me. Her voice was sharp. "Ethan, what is going on with you and Madison?" I already knew. Madison had gone to them first. "What did she tell you?" I asked. My mother sighed. "She said you've been accusing her, following her, checking her things." "She's cheating on me, Mom?" There was silence. Then my mother said, "Madison would never do that." I almost dropped the phone. "You believe that without even asking what I know?" "She's been part of this family for 7 years," my mother said. "She loves you." I looked across the living room at our wedding photo. Madison's smile looked different now, like a warning I had missed. That Sunday, my parents asked us to come over and talk as a family. I thought it would be a conversation. It was an ambush. Madison arrived before me. By the time I walked in, she had already cried, already told her version, already painted herself as the frightened wife of a paranoid husband. My father barely let me speak. "Do you know how humiliating this is for her?" he said. I stared at him. "For her?" Madison whispered, "I just want my husband back." My mother started crying. And suddenly I was the villain in my own life. I tried to tell them about the hotel receipt. Madison gasped. "You went through the trash?" My father pointed at me. "That's enough." I tried to tell them about the camera footage. Madison covered her face. "He's been watching me." My mother said, "Ethan, stop." So I stopped. Not because I had nothing else to say, because I realized they did not want evidence. They wanted comfort. They wanted the sweet daughter-in-law they loved to be innocent. They wanted their son to be wrong because that was easier than admitting they had been fooled. When I left, Madison stayed behind. My parents let her use my old room. My father called me later that night. His tone was cold. "Madison is staying with us until you get yourself under control." I said, "Dad, you are making a mistake." He answered, "No, son. You already did." Then he hung up. For the next 3 weeks, my life became a courtroom where everyone had already decided I was guilty. My mother stopped answering my calls. My father sent short messages like, "Give her space, and think about what you've done." Madison posted vague quotes online about strength, healing, and surviving emotional pain. Her friends commented hearts. My relatives messaged me. "Man, just apologize. You're going to lose a good woman. Your parents are devastated." I read every message and said nothing. Because while everyone was busy judging me, I was building the truth piece by piece. I hired a private investigator named Ron. He was a retired police detective with tired eyes and a voice like gravel. When I showed him what I had, he did not look surprised. He only said, "People who cry first usually plan the speech." Within 8 days, Ron gave me the name. Andrew Cole. 39 years old. Divorced. Worked as a regional director at Madison's company. And there was more. Andrew was not just some random man from work. He was the son of my father's old business friend. My father had known Andrew's family for 20 years. That made everything worse. Because when I finally saw the clear photo of Madison and Andrew walking into a hotel together, hand in hand, I recognized him immediately. He had been at my parents' anniversary party. He had shaken my hand. He had eaten at my table. He had smiled at me like I was nothing. Ron gave me photos. Dates. Times. Public locations. Nothing illegal. Nothing messy. Just the truth, clean and undeniable. But the final piece came from Madison herself. She made one mistake. She used our shared tablet. It was still connected to her email. I did not dig through her private account. I did not need to. A notification appeared on the screen while I was sitting at the kitchen table. Subject line. After the divorce. I stared at it. Then another notification appeared. From Andrew. Your in-laws still believe you? My heart went cold. The preview showed Madison's reply. Completely. Linda already thinks Ethan is unstable. Richard told me I can stay as long as I want. Linda and Richard. My parents. She was using their names like tools. I took pictures of the notifications before they disappeared. Then I called my lawyer. Her name was Diane Brooks. Calm, direct, terrifyingly smart. I put everything on her desk. Receipts, photos, bank records, messages, camera footage. She looked through it quietly. Then she leaned back and said, "Do not confront her alone again." "I want my parents to know," I said. "They will," she replied. "But when they know, make sure they cannot pretend they don't." That sentence stayed with me. So I waited for the perfect moment. It came 2 weeks later. My mother invited me to dinner. Not to apologize. To pressure me. She said Madison would be there. My father would be there. My aunt and uncle too. Even Madison's parents had been invited. A family conversation, my mother called it. I knew exactly what it was. They wanted witnesses. They wanted me surrounded. They wanted me to apologize in front of everyone so Madison could return home as the innocent wife who had survived my accusations. I said yes. My lawyer told me not to bring everything. "Bring enough," she said. "Not rage. Not revenge."
Enough. So I arrived that Friday night with one black folder. Inside that folder was the end of my marriage. Madison was already sitting at the dining table when I walked in. She wore a soft blue dress, the one my mother loved. Of course she did. My mother stood near the kitchen, nervous but hopeful. My father looked serious. Madison's parents sat stiffly together. My aunt gave me a sad look, like I was a broken man who needed saving. Dinner was quiet. Too quiet. Then my father cleared his throat. "Ethan," he said, "we're all here because this has gone far enough." Madison lowered her eyes. Perfect timing. My mother said, "We love you. But love does not mean letting you hate people." I looked at my mother. "Do you still believe Madison?" She blinked. "Yes." I looked at my father. "And you?" He said, "I believe she has been through enough." Madison whispered, "I never wanted this." That was when I opened the black folder. I did not yell. I did not curse. I did not shake. I simply placed the first photo on the table. Madison and Andrew outside the hotel. My mother stared at it. My father leaned forward. Madison's face changed instantly. Not sadness. Fear. I placed the second photo down. Madison and Andrew entering the same hotel, his hand on her lower back. Then the receipt. Then the bank statement. Then a still image from our driveway camera. Nobody spoke. The room went so silent I could hear the refrigerator humming in the kitchen. My father picked up one photo. His hand trembled. "Is that Andrew Cole?" he asked. I nodded. Madison suddenly stood up. "This is not what it looks like." I almost left. Because that sentence is always the last shelter of the guilty. Madison's father looked at her. "What is this?" She turned to my parents. "Ethan is twisting things. He has been following me. He hired someone." This is exactly what I was afraid of. But this time, her tears did not wake us quickly. Because evidence has a weight that crying cannot lift. My mother looked at me with a pale face. "Ethan." I raised my hand gently. "I am not finished." Then I placed the printed screenshot on the table. Andrew's message. "Your in-laws still believe you." Madison's reply. "Completely. Lande already thinks Ethan is unstable. Richard told me I can stay as long as I want." My mother made a small sound, like the air had been knocked out of her. My father stared at the page. His face turned gray. Madison whispered, "That is private." I looked at her. "No. That is truth." Then I placed the final page down. A message from Madison to Andrew. "Once the divorce starts, push for the house. His parents are easy. They feel sorry for me. My mother covered her mouth. My father slowly sat down. For the first time in my life, I saw my dad look small. Not old. Small. Madison tried to speak again, but her mother stood up so fast the chair scraped against the floor. Did you write this? She demanded. Madison said nothing. That silence answered everything. My father looked at her and said, "You used us." Madison started crying again, but now the room heard something different in it. Not pain. Panic. My mother turned to me. Tears were running down her face. Ethan, I didn't know. I looked at her for a long moment. Then I said the words I had been holding in my chest for weeks. You didn't want to know. That broke her. She started sobbing. My father stood up and walked toward me, but I stepped back. Not because I hated him. Because I could not let him touch me yet. He stopped. His eyes filled with tears. Son, he said, I am so sorry. I wanted that apology to fix something. I wanted to feel relief. But all I felt was tired. You called me unstable, I said. You let her sleep in my childhood room. You told me I was the mistake. My father lowered his head. Madison grabbed her purse. I am leaving, she snapped. Nobody stopped her. That was the first time my parents chose me. And it was too late. The divorce was ugly, but short. Once Madison realized I had documentation, her demands changed quickly. She did not get the house. She did not get the story she wanted. She did not get to walk away as the wounded innocent wife. Andrew disappeared from her life almost immediately. That part did not surprise me. Men like Andrew enjoy stealing what belongs to someone else. They rarely stay when consequences arrive. My parents tried to repair sins. My mother called every day for 2 weeks. I answered once. She cried for 10 minutes. I failed you, she said. I did not argue. Because she was right. My father came to my house one Saturday morning. He stood on the porch holding an old cardboard box. Inside were things from my childhood room. Baseball cards. A photo album. A wooden car we built together when I was 9. I cleared out the room, he said quietly. Madison's sins are gone. I nodded. He looked at me like he was waiting for permission to be my father again. But trust does not return just because someone regrets losing it. I love you, Dad, I said. But I need time. He nodded, and for once, he did not try to control the moment. He just said, wait. Months passed. I sold the house. Not because Madison had ruined it, but because Ivriana's ghost was inside those walls. Her laughter in the kitchen. My silence in the hallway. My parents standing in my living room telling me to apologize. I bought a smaller place near a lake 2 towns away. Nothing fancy. A porch. A duck. A quiet road. For the first time in years, I slept through the night. My parents and I slowly rebuilt something. Not the old relationship. That was gone. But something more honest. My mother no longer called Madison or that poor girl. My father no longer gave advice like he had all the answers. They listened more. I spoke less, but when I spoke, they listened. One evening, almost a year after the dinner, my parents came to visit. We sat on the porch while the sun went down over the water. My mother was holding a cup of coffee. My father stared at the lake. After a long silence, he said, "The thing that haunts me most is not that she fooled us. I looked at him. He swallowed hard. It is that you came to us with pain, and we treated you like a problem. I did not say anything for a while. Then I said, that is the part I remember too. My mother started crying softly. But this time, I did not feel angry. I just felt the truth sitting between us. Heavy, but clean. Madison tried to contact me once after the divorce. She sent a message from a new number. I know I hate you. I hope someday you understand I was unhappy too. I stared at that message for a long time. Then I deleted it. Because some people do not apologize. They simply try to make their guilt sound like pain. I never replied. The truth is, I did not expose Madison to destroy her. She had already done that herself. I exposed the truth because lies had taken my wife, my home, and almost my family. And I refused to let them take my name too. People always say betrayal shows you who your enemies are. But that is only half true. Betrayal also shows you who needs proof.